Hello, how you guys doing? Hope you're doing good out there. Well, hope you have the kind of, despite the humid and soupy weather, hope you're having a good day. This is going to concern with the latest with this police, and I'm going to show you a couple of commentators and some what surrounding this cop than what happened to Miss Massey in Illinois. So I'm gonna go ahead and play some video, and I'll do my commentary afterwards.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the moment of truth. And now the Friday Crime Report. July 6, 2024. By now I'm sure that all of you have seen the sickening video of the heinous murder of Sonia Massey. At the very least, you've no doubt read about it. I watched the video and it is absolutely infuriating. Shades of what happened with the murder of a Tatiana Jefferson. In this case, Sonia Massey was the one who called the police to tell them that there was a prowler outside of her house. She made the mistake of thinking that these guys were in the business of public safety. They're actually in the business of upholding white supremacy and enforcing anti-black violence. In this case, the assailant was a deputy with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department, Sean Grayson. From the very moment he arrived at the scene, he began being belligerent, argumentative, and aggressive toward Miss Massey. He was arguing with her on the porch of her own home and then proceeded into the house after her, as if apparently he thought that she was some sort of suspect. This guy was itching for a fight with a person who called him for help. And as a result, he told her, well, there's a pot of boiling water on the stove. You need to go turn it off before it starts a fire or something. After all of this arguing that she had to do with this guy, she did what any Christian would do. She rebuked him in the name of Jesus. That's when he drew his gun on her. Not because she had a weapon, but because as far as he was concerned, he was going to show her who was boss. He shot her dead while she was holding up her hands saying, "Don't shoot." He did this to her, shooting her dead in her own home. Not because she did anything, but because he wanted to prove that he could kill someone. This was a power play by these white supremacists who are the weakest chumps in the room. Surprisingly, Grayson was actually arrested for this crime, and a grand jury indicted him on 3 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. And last report, he's currently being held in the Menard County Jail without bond. And once again, the bravest, most honorable people in America, the white media tells us, are reassuring everyone that this latest blatant murder doesn't represent their values or training. The thugs in blue are trying to tell everybody that we didn't see what we clearly saw, and that they aren't doing what they do every single day. Because this kind of behavior happens constantly in America, and we've heard these same empty denials every single time that this occurs. This guy was a walking pile of red flags. He had been with at least 6 different departments in only 4 years. Before that, he had been in the Army, but in 2016, he got himself discharged due to serious misconduct. But rather than give him a dishonorable discharge, which is what he actually deserved, he was instead given a general discharge, but was allowed to say that it was under honorable circumstances. That's a contradiction in terms. In too many cases, the general discharge is misused as a way to whitewash some individual who should have been kicked out of the Army with a dishonorable discharge. Now this guy, what he got kicked out for, at least in part, was related to a DUI that he got while he was in the Army, but that didn't stop his commanding officer from giving him a glowing letter of recommendation to whatever employer might be looking to hire this reprobate. And the employers knew about this. Now this guy got at least 2 different DUI convictions in Macoupin County in 2015 and 2016. When Grayson was held in the county jail there, records show that he refused to submit a breath sample. After threatening to pee his pants or pee in a trash can in his holding cell, Grayson told the officer who arrested him that he was, quote, too small to be making him mad. At the time he murdered Sonia Massey, he was working for the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department, and they confirmed that they were aware of both of his DUIs, and yet they hired this creep anyway. Previously, he had been in the Kincaid Police Department, but he was let go from there after he refused to live within a 10-mile radius as required by the village. Mike Lawrence, one of Kincaid's Board of Trustees, said that he wasn't surprised to learn that Grayson gunned down an unarmed woman who posed no threat to him in her own home. As Lawrence put it, I thought he was a loose cannon. He was just arrogant and cocky. Grayson had also been with the Logan County Sheriff's Office. He was only there a year, but in that brief amount of time he pursued a vehicle at speeds of 110 miles per hour against the direct orders of his superiors, and he eventually hit a deer. But rather than fire him, his supervisors recommended high-stress decision-making training for him. Now, As we all know, when it comes to these mindless thugs, you're not going to be able to train them out of their behavior. You can't train a psychopath. You can only punish them. But in America, you protect these little scumbags, and as a result, they don't get any training or punishment. Given his murderous behavior, his problem wasn't high-stress training. To have this towering caveman being belligerent and confrontational with a small, unarmed black woman who had called him to do a service call, and then to murder her for no reason in her own home, that's not the result of high stress. It's the result of police departments seeking out thugs like this, whose only qualification is whether they'll make good cogs in the machine of white power. And you won't be surprised to learn that Grayson had been married, but of course he's divorced now. During the divorce, his now ex-wife cited extreme and repeated mental cruelty without cause or provocation as the reason for dissolving their marriage. Now, details of exactly what she's talking about are unknown, but given his behavior, how he came to Sonia Massey's home and began arguing with her from the beginning, this guy was being belligerent and threatening toward this woman and ultimately murdered her for no reason whatsoever, just murdered her in cold blood. I think we can probably take some educated guesses as to what exactly the wife meant when she said extreme and repeated mental cruelty. Now, these are just a few of his crimes and misdeeds that have come to light. The totality of his military discharge hasn't been made completely public, and there's no telling how many disciplinary problems he's had across the half-dozen police agencies he worked with, to say nothing of how many citizens' complaints there are against him that these departments have covered up over the years. The white media always minimizes these criminals' deeds. The body cam video was clearly damning. The racist police have made it their standard operating procedure that whenever police kill someone, if they think the video makes them look good, then they'll release it immediately and lecture the public about how heroic they are and how claims of police brutality are all false, and they'll brag that they have nothing to hide, that they believe in total transparency because they released one video quickly. It only takes them hours to release a video when they think it justifies them killing someone, but if it shows them for the cowardly, racist murderers they actually are, then all of a sudden the video has to be hidden away, concealed. There's no bragging, no lecturing the public. On a side note, you notice how you can count on one hand the number of times the police have actually been able to show a video that allegedly justifies their behavior? The criminals know that they're scum, but they don't know if the public will punish them for it. And when you look at this Cro-Magnon-looking degenerate, he seems like every neo-Nazi race soldier you ever saw. All of those tattoos with skulls and such. All of the same kind of iconography that you find with every sort of white supremacist who's out there. Only thing he's missing is the huge beard. And why did he commit this vile, premeditated murder? We all know why. Because he knows he lives in a white supremacist ethno-state where race soldiers like himself are protected. They all know this. They know that they can break the law, get kicked out of the military, get a job in any police department they want with no questions asked, and then rack up a bunch of DUIs with no consequences. He knows that he lives in a country where his skin color gives him genetic immunity from the law. He should have been locked up on felonies a long time ago, but this racist country doesn't do that. The police departments he worked for knew of his rancid military record and his DUIs and his problems in other police departments, but they still eagerly hired him anyway, one after the other after the other. Not because they didn't know his background, but because police and sheriff's departments are not in the business of public safety. They're taxpayer-supported street gangs, and just like with any street gang, the most important thing is how willing the gang member is to use violence against innocent people. We'll continue with the moment of truth in just a moment, but first, a word from the...
What can disqualify you from getting a life insurance policy? With us, nothing. If you're...
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So a lot more people are starting to speak up on this senseless red rumming of Sonia Massey. So here we have a white female police officer. She is exposing the culture behind what happened to Sonia Massey. She believes that more and more of them should be speaking up. And she doesn't understand the silence. And she goes on to say that she didn't sign up for this, that this was red rum, plain and simple. Anyway, take a listen at what she has to say about this whole situation. And of course, I will be right back.
Hi, white woman cop here. I just want to talk about Sonya Massey. I've been in law enforcement 7 years and I've seen a lot of fucking bullshit. And I'm telling you right now, that video of that officer unaliving that poor woman is fucking disgusting. As a cop, I am completely disgusted with not only my duty and my profession right now, but all my other law enforcement officers who are refusing to speak out against this. I mean, this goes beyond law enforcement. This goes to a humanity factor. This officer went into this situation wanting to kill someone. Why are there not more officers speaking out against this? That is not what I signed up to do this job for. And any cop that does not speak out against this is just as guilty. In fact, we should be the first ones speaking out against our own people that are doing this stuff. This is murder. Yeah, it's murder. When I signed up to be a law enforcement officer, it was to protect and serve my community. It was to get to know my community. It was to help my community, to better my community, to make sure my people were safe. That's why I signed up. So you're telling me right now that a pot of boiling water is a threat to you? That's I cannot fathom. Because again, this wasn't about a woman with a pot, was it? This was a race-related issue. I'm absolutely disgusted. But I'm so sorry. Sonya Massey deserved better, and I will say her name. Justice for Sonya Massey. We failed you. As law enforcement, we absolutely failed you. We failed your family. We just failed. Some days I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to be a part of this system. Because I care about people and I want to help people. I do not want to harm anyone. And if you go into this profession with some idea of grandeur, like you want to be a hero, you don't need to be here. And now, all the work that us good officers do to try to bring our community together to make them not fear us, well, guess what? It's all gone because of that asshole. And I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to make him famous. He's nobody. He's dirt underneath my feet.
Okay, well, like this woman said, a lot more of them need to be speaking up. I think there's a deafening silence coming from certain groups of people. Now, she being a white female police officer, it speaks a lot that she is speaking up, but a lot more of them need to be speaking up because this was unjustifiable. Now, we always have to wonder what kind of spin they'll put on a story, right? Now, on this one, because they didn't have a spin, they wanted to lie and say that she possibly did this to herself, or possibly the intruder. The whole time, you all had full knowledge of what happened because you were there. So for everyone who was trying to make that second officer out to be some kind of hero, when that story was being spun to say she possibly did it herself, he was sitting on the sidelines already knowing the truth. Already knowing the truth. So then he is no hero. If he was one of the good guys, not only would he have gone to try to help her like he tried to do, right? Knowing that it was too late, they probably knew she was already gone, right? But he should have come forward and say, look, I saw what happened. When he was out there talking to that group of other cops, calling her a crazy so-and-so, calling her out of her name. Why did that other officer not speak up and say, no, man, that's not what happened? See, this is because even he knows that there is a system in place that protects wickedness. They know it's corrupt. This is why if he did want to speak up, he wouldn't. Because he knows that they would come for him. How dare you tell on somebody in blue? Don't try to make it seem like that's an honorable profession. The things we've been seeing is especially so-called black people, what we have been seeing, how we have been treated by this system. Don't get offended if we don't feel any respect for such a system that has done these terrible, horrendous things to our people. You have got to be out of your cotton picking mind if you think we're supposed to have some type of respect for something like that. This is why it's going to take. I like to bring the judgment of the Most High into these videos, because these people need to understand it has nothing to do with someone being upset or angry because of what's going on. And they want to throw out around these statements, angry black woman, angry black man, and all this kind of stuff, as if we don't have something to be angry about. There was one celebrity who said, you got to be out of your mind if you live in America and you ain't mad as hell. I can't remember what his name was, but he was a famous celebrity. But going back to the judgment of the Most High, this is why it's important for people to understand what the Bible says, because they got to reap what they've sown. It is already happening. The judgment of the Most High is already unleashing. This Bible-toting country, they pretend like they believe in the Bible. They pretend like they honor and love the Most High. He said, if you love me, keep my commandments. And they can't even keep the simplest of his commandments. Filled with dirta, Hatred, spelled backwards. Filled with all kinds of wickedness. And they make up lies to justify their wickedness. This is why it's important that we talk about the judgment, so that, hey, the blood is off our hands. We are warning you. We as watch men and watch women, we as people of the Most High, teachers and preachers of the gospel, some prophets, some evangelists, those who speak and teach the Most High, it is important that we warn people. We're telling you what his word says. Whether you will hear or forbear is up to you. But again, this woman spoke the truth. It's not enough of y'all speaking up about this stuff. It's because most of y'all co-sign it. And you know you do. Many of them are probably already spinning in their minds, even after seeing the tape. Many of them probably already have a wicked out in their mind. Some kind of way to justify this. That's what they do. That's what you do when you have Wetico. You can't see it for what it is, which is a very wicked thing. You can't see that the woman was ducking down, trying to protect herself, because he pointed a weapon at her. It was obvious that the pot that she had in her hands was empty. So she wasn't trying to throw any water on anybody. She was probably trying to block any bullets that this devil was aiming at her. But again, those with wicked hearts and wicked minds, they don't like the truth. The truth is too much for them.
Hey bro, you busy? I have really good news for you. What am I talking about? About Asian?
It was an incident that happened earlier that day, and I talked to two officers or whatever, and I believe that it's the same officer that my brother had to.
Say what now? I need y'all to buckle up for this one, because some new developments have been made in Sonia's case, and it turns out the officer who mercilessly took her life, Sean Grayson, actually had interacted with her just a few hours before he was called to her house, and he was already aware of her mental condition. This was revealed by Sonia's own son, Malachi. A lot of people believe Sean came to Sonia's house that night with a premeditated plan to take her out, because if y'all remember, Sonia's father, James Wilburn, also insinuated that her death was planned. He said they didn't even know she got unalived by an officer till the body cam footage was leaked on social media. What's even more disturbing about this is that Sean had a few red flags on him that should have been more than enough for him to not work as a cop. He had 2 DUI convictions, was removed from the Army, and has worked for 6 different police departments just between 2020 and 2024 alone. However, it wasn't until he took Sonia's life that they finally decided to do something about it.
The first night I don't go to my mother's house, this happens. How? Why? And I wonder if I was there, if he would have did anything to me. I don't know.
Child, there's a whole lot we need to get into here. But before we do all that, let me give y'all a little rundown on this whole case. Because it'll really make you get a glimpse of what black people go through every day, just because of our skin color. This story came out just a few days ago after a very graphic body cam footage of a cop brutally unaliving an innocent black woman leaked online. The video immediately sent the entire internet into a frenzy, and it was later reported that the officer in question was named Sean Grayson, and the defenseless woman he shot to death was Sonia Massey. It turns out Sonia, who had previously been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, was having an episode, and she thought there was an intruder in her home, so she decided to call the police to come check it out. They arrived as expected, but by the time that they left, Sonia was lying dead in her kitchen with a to her face. In the body cam footage that was leaked, the officers can be seen looking around Sonia's house with flashlights the minute they arrived. Their whole demeanor was off, and right from the get-go, it seemed like they had some sort of preconceived notion of the kind of person that Sonia was, simply because the state of her house and the neighborhood that she lived in. Now, 2 minutes after them looking around, they finally decided to knock on the door. It took her a little while to get to the door because she was obviously scared and said she had to put clothes on.
Oh. That's not your black car in the driveway? Oh, well, we checked your yard, we walked around the whole block, we didn't see anybody. We don't.
After asking her a bunch of questions, they followed her into her house and asked her to provide medical reports, a license, and some other paperwork that they apparently needed. While she was doing all of that, Sean spotted a pot of water boiling on the stove, so he asked her to go turn it off because he didn't want there to be a fire outbreak in the house. Now, Sonia was already scared and confused at this point, so she didn't question his orders. She walked right over to the kitchen and did exactly what that man told her to do. However, right when she was doing so, he switched up on her and got to screaming, "Where you going? Away from your hot steaming water." Mind you, he's the same person who told her to go turn it off because it could cause a fire. But now he acting clueless, making it look like she walked over there to the pot on her own. It's almost as if Sean was looking for an excuse to put a bullet in her. Sonia was obviously confused as to why he was screaming, so she tried to de-escalate the situation by jokingly replying, "Away from the hot steaming water? Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus."
We don't get a fire on here.
Right.
Okay. Wait till you're hot steaming water. Yeah.
But when she said this, Sean got even more agitated and yelled, "You better effing not. I swear to God, I'll effing you right in your effing face." Sonia immediately began apologizing and continuously repeating the words, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." But before she could even finish, Sean did exactly what he said he was gonna do. She hit her in the face, beneath her eye, and the exited at the back of her neck under her ear. What's even worse is that Sonia was actually still alive after this. But when his partner tried to go get the medical kit, he pretty much told him not to waste his time, talking about it's a hedge and there was no way she was gonna survive it.
For EMS now, we got a head wounded female. Head wounded female, 1078.
I was on. I'm gonna go get my kit.
Now, if you head, yeah, sure, she's done. You can go get it, but that's it.
He then tried to make himself feel better about what he did by claiming he shot her because she was about to throw the hot water at him. What else can we do? I'm not taking hot boiling water to the effing face.
Yeah, I'm not taking boiling water. Hey, look, it came right to our feet, too. God damn it.
But y'all seen the footage, and she was not about to throw anything at that man. The whole reason she even went into the kitchen is because he told her to. Why then would she suddenly decide to throw the boiling water in the face of the cops that she called to her house for help? It literally makes no sense. Now, when the paramedics arrived, one of the officers asked him what happened, and once again, Sean stood there and lied again, claiming that Sonia came at him with a pot of hot water.
No, she had boiling water and came at me with boiling water. Yeah. She said she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus and came out with boiling water. That's what all this is. I was standing right here. Alright. And that's where he's landed.
What do y'all need from us?
Just nothing right now. Just hang out there for me.
Yeah. 812 makes going back to school easy. Forget the stress and shopping. We send you everything you need to...
Just nothing right now. Just hang out there for me.
Yeah.
Now, Sean has since been arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree and is being held without bond until his trial is set to begin. Biden also came out and released a statement to condemn Sean's behavior and demand for him to be punished. Sonia's death at the hands of a responding officer reminds us that all too often, Black Americans face fears for their safety in ways many of the rest of us do not. I commend the swift actions that were taken by Springfield State's Attorney's Office. While we wait for the case to be prosecuted, let us pray to comfort the grieving. Congress must pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act now. Our fundamental commitment to justice is at stake. Now, Sonia's family isn't planning on letting this go either, because they've been on a social media campaign ever since, and they've actually revealed some very disturbing things these last few days that have people wondering if Sonia's death was a premeditated attack by Sean. In a recent press conference, Sonia's son Malachi made a very shocking revelation when he said that Sean and Sonia had interacted just a few hours before they were called to her house.
That happened earlier that day, and I talked to 2 officers or whatever, and I believe that it's the same officer that my mother. I talked to his partner first, then the second officer. That's the one that I think the one that did that. I talked to them, and they told me that because she was driving herself to the hospital or something. She wasn't even at the house when this was going on. But she was driving herself to the hospital. They told me that they were going to go there to help her. And then this happens.
So she was seeking help because she was trying to get help. And it's like Mr. Wilburn said, she was trying to get help. She needed a helping hand, not a to the face.
That's right.
She just needed those officers to extend an ounce of humanity, not to her.
But it wasn't just Malachi who hinted at the officers planning to take her out. Just a few days ago, Sonia's father also revealed in an interview with Gayle King that the cops initially told the entire family that Sonia was by an intruder. He said they didn't even know Sean was responsible until the footage leaked online.
Hearing that you were told conflicting stories, what were you told, the circumstances of this?
Well, I was never told that it was a deputy involved. We were under the impression that she was killed by the intruder or some other person from the street or something, and they just went in there and found her dead body. I did not find out that the deputy killed her until my brother asked for Sonia's address, and I gave it to him. And he said, "Brother, this says deputies involved." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But we were all misled to believe that. And then there was a story that this was self-inflicted, a self-inflicted.
Oh my goodness.
So I think the cover-up started from just right after it happened. Thank God for the body camera footage. It's probably the most horrible and heart-wrenching thing that we've ever seen in our lives. But if it were not for the body cam footage, we would not have known that this occurred.
Yes, I say thank goodness too for that body cam footage, because we in the video it clearly shows she was not approaching him with steaming hot water, number one, which is what he said at the beginning. When he was asked about, clearly there was no She had said to the officer, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," which seemed to set him off. What do you think she meant? What does that mean? What was going on that you think that she would say those words to him?
I think that she feared for her life. There was some premonition that she had. And it seems like he was just an emissary of Satan. And that's what caused him to do what he did. It's just unexplainable.
So from the looks of it, not only were they trying to cover it up, but Sean knew exactly who Sonia was, as well as her mental health issues. He probably thought he could get away with unaliving her by blaming it on her mental health issues. Fortunately, that didn't work out, and he's now rotting in jail. Aside from that, it turns out Sean had already had some pretty nasty red flags that should have been enough for him to not be a cop, but for whatever reason, he was still allowed to work. It turns out that man got removed from the army, had 2 DUIs, changed police departments 6 times, and needed high-stress decision classes, which he ain't even go to. In a recent interview with NBC, Sonia's uncle Raymond Massey said, "I feel like he never should have been hired. How did he even reach this point? There were so many red flags." As usual, people had their own thoughts about this. Like this person who said, "Just when you think it can't get worse, cop flipped so quickly when she rebuked him in the name of Jesus. Like she called a demon out of him. But to find out he'd been there earlier makes it even worse." Another person said, "Okay, now the truth coming out. I wonder if they had something going on and he was acting like he didn't know her." But now I want to know your thoughts. What do...
At Levi's, buying carpet is simple. Our premium installation package includes measuring, upgraded pad...
Peace. Welcome to the program. Sorry for the delay. I had some technical problems that I had to deal with. But we're live right now. Let me check a few things on the audio. Let me know if you can hear me by putting 7s in the chat room. If you can hear me clearly. I want to double check my audio because I want to make sure that there's no mess ups with audio today. I have a lot of material to go over with you today about this issue. Sonia Massey, this should have never happened to her. You got a few people on YouTube who are trying to make excuses for the cops and trying to say, "Oh, it was a clean situation." And there are people who are investigators that have said that everything about what he did was not clean. I also am going to be presenting near the end of this presentation today some information that I'm very aware. Well, I'll just tell you all right now. When it comes to understanding white supremacy, the tattoos, the white people that are members of these militia groups, I am most expert in this area because a lot of people on the YouTube streets will talk about racism, will talk about white supremacy or suppression, and I'm not here to say that these are things that you should let hold you back. No matter what's happening in the world, black man, black woman, and child, do not let any of this stuff stop you from achieving the things that you want to achieve. But a lot of people talk about these issues on the YouTube streets, but a lot of folks have never really dealt with these type of individuals. I have, because of the kind of work that I do. So I deal with gang members of all types. I deal with the Aryan Brother. I deal with these individuals, the militia groups, the white supremacists. I deal with them up front, in their face, in their eyes. I know how they think. I know what their mentality is. And I understand the tattoos that they wear and what the imagery of those tattoos represent. You will come to an understanding about this with me as we get near the close end to the presentation today, because as you see on the description of this video today, I gave I believe, my assessment of why she was treated in a way that she has, because there's something that's been happening with policing in this country, particularly with these police departments and how they've been impacted by certain groups. And there is FBI stats, which I'll read to you. FBI reports, FBI research that will back up everything that I'm saying today. The tattoos that were on his arm, I know exactly what they represent. Most people will just guess at it. I don't have to guess because part of the work I do, I work in mental health, but what I do is that you still have to be trained and recognize what tattoos represent on the streets. There's prison gangs, there's street gangs, there's disruptive groups, and I'm very familiar with how these groups operate. If you look on my channel, maybe a couple of years ago, I did a complete video on the symbolism that y'all need to be aware of when you come across people. Like, there's various symbolisms in terms of the tattoos that they wear, the kind of clothing that they wear, the colors that they wear, their boots, their shoes. I know these things because I have dealt with these individuals up close and personal. So there are reasons why, when we say why are black people being deleted in this way by police, and I'm telling you, yes, it's racism. Yes, it's the way they perceive black women and black men. They perceive us as animals. They perceive us as a threat. But you have to understand the mindset of individuals who go into the police department and the groups that they are associated with and how they feel about us. You know, we talk about a lot of issues on YouTube, but I don't think we talk about the issues that really matters the most. We spend a lot of time talking about gibberish, and we spend too much time in the battle of the sexes, while black people in real time are being taken out. Anybody that tells me that this woman deserved what she got over a pot of water, which did not, those men, those officers, that monster, Sean Grayson, her pot of water would have not been a fatal to his life. But what he did to her was fatal to her life. My God, why couldn't they have took a step back, went outside her house and got a sergeant or got mental health? I'm going to show you, I don't know how many people who have gone, I'm going to play this video, but what I did with this video is I broke everything down in the video. I watched it exclusively. I put my clinician's head as a mental health therapist on this, and I can tell you, because a lot of people might have missed this in the video, I'm going to show you, you're going to hear it, and I'm going to explain it to you, that that police officer knew that there was something mentally going on with her, and he gave himself away. And you're going to hear it, and I'm going to explain it to you when I show you where exactly in the video shows that he knew that something was wrong with her. Matter of fact, she said that she was on medication. I'm going to break down what kind of medication she was on and how that medication was not a stimulant that was going to make her hyped up enough to be a complete danger. When a person has mental health problems, it was obvious that she was in distress. And their whole approach was wrong. They didn't even have to go into her house when they had told her that they had searched all around her house and in the backyard. So why did they even go in the house? I've got a brother, I clipped a video from a brother who used to be a former police, and he's going to break it down to you better than I can as to why what they did was wrong. Anybody on the YouTube streets that is telling you that this was a clean deletion of this woman, that they were right to do what they did, that they were within the law, because obviously if they were within the law, this man would not be under arrest and now going to be prosecuted. At least we'll have to see. You know how these things go. Let's go into the video. I want to appreciate everybody that's here. Everybody in the chat room, I want to thank you. I just want to give a disclaimer. I may not be able to call a lot of people's names today, because once I get started with this presentation, I have to stay on point. What I would like you all to do, so we can get more people over here, is that if you're listening to me on a cellular phone, a desktop computer, your laptop, your tablet, your cell phone, iPhone, please hit the button that says share right now, and share it to your Facebook, share it to your X or Twitter, or whatever social media that you use. And if you're a content creator, do me the best you can do, and that's put it in your community tab. The things that I'm about to tell you today, and the way I'm going to break break this down and assess what's going on, you will appreciate it. I'm not saying that everybody didn't do it. I think everybody who's talked about this issue and presented this, I say kudos to them. But there's some areas about this situation that I'm going to bring to the surface in this video using my professional experience with these type of individuals that took her life. And we're going to break the video down because I don't think this young lady posed a threat. It was the police officer himself, Sean Grayson, who told her to go over to the kitchen to turn the pot of water off. What I'm saying to you is it wasn't premeditated. That woman didn't put that water in that pot. She didn't say, oh, there's some cops out. She called the damn cops because she was feeling like someone was around her house. It was obvious to me with a clinical eye that there was something wrong, maybe something mental. People said, oh, she's on drugs. She wasn't on drugs, and the autopsy report shows that. But it was obvious to someone like myself that there was something wrong with her. That's where the cops were wrong. In the beginning of the video, you see him telling her, why is it taking you so long? Probably because it took the damn cops too long to get there and the woman was in her bed. She probably had that pot boiling way before they came in the house because her intention was to probably do something else with that. They want to make it seem like she premeditatedly boiled water to throw on the cops when it was the cops that told her to go over there and turn the water off. If they were concerned about her throwing water on her that was hot, why didn't the cops go over why didn't the cops say, you got a pot of water on, it's going to cause a fire? Because he said that. Why didn't the cop just say, ma'am, just stay right here, I'm going to go over to the kitchen and turn your pot of water off? This man would probably have a job still. No, he tells her to go over there and turn it off. And when she says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, he sees that as a threat that, oh, she's going to harm him. They took her life. She had no weapon at all. I said this in my other video. Folks don't pay attention enough. Black people are most likely to be killed by police, 3 times more likely to be killed by police than white people. 30%, that's 3 times more. 30% of black victims were unarmed. This is going back to 2015 and compared to 19% of white victims. When black people are unarmed, we're being deleted by police at high numbers. I said that in my last video last week. I don't think people got the memo on that. Let's go into the video, everybody. Let's go into the video studio and let you hear. Let's look at the first video and break this on down, straight up, up and down. So you got the police tape, and Sean, I can't believe that Sean Grayson was allowed to put this police tape up after doing what he did to her. That's the thing that's crazy about it, y'all. Let's go into the first video right now. I appreciate everybody that's here. A clap to you. Let me remind you of the situation. Body cam footage of Sonia Massey killing is released as deputies charged with murder. Murder is a legal term, everybody. Massey, a 36-year-old black woman from Illinois, was killed by police after calling 911 for help. She calls for help and she ends up deleted. How does that happen? What's going on, everybody in the chat room? How does that happen? Why does that happen? Here's the first video. Check this out. So basically, everybody, I'm going to move this up a little bit. They were knocking on the door. As you already know, it took some time for Sonya Massey to come to the door. Probably because she probably was waiting for them for a long time, and she probably had to get dressed. And she even told them that that's the reason why. The officer who took her life, Sean Grayson, was rude, is all get out.
On the back door. I don't know if it's her or something. Oh, I'll tap it. You'll try and call her 17 back here and let her know where I'm from. Yes, that's set up good.
But I'm going to move it up. So they were searching around her home. It took her a while to get to the door, but they were rude as hell to her.
Sheriff's office! Two houses down.
So I bet you any kind of money that she couldn't hear the first knocks at the door, which is why she said, who's knocking at her door, right? That's anybody would do that if it's late at night, a knock at the door. What that tells me, if you use inductive reasoning and educated guess here, she probably called the police and they probably took forever to get to her place, to the point that she probably laid down, went to sleep or something. Who knows?
I don't know what's in here. She was yawning inside. She's supposed to hold on. You coming in there?
He says she was yelling inside and she told you to hold on. Common sense would tell you it's late at night. Maybe this woman was in the bathroom. Maybe she just got out of the bathtub or shower. Maybe she fell asleep. And then you hear Sean Grayson. You hear him saying, "Are you coming or not?" The criminal that you see right here. Right? Criminal that you see right there. This man right here, Illinois deputy indicted on Sonya Massey's shooting, was discharged from Kansas Army base for misconduct. What else could be done as former KCPD major? This man has been kicked out of the military and several police departments, and I'm sure that most of you all have heard these things before. But this man, Sean Grayson, is despicable. As the woman is telling you to hang on and you say, "Are you coming out or not?" His whole disposition as a police officer who's supposed to serve and protect the community was a negative attitude that he brought to the table. He came there with an attitude, y'all.
She was yawning inside. She's supposed to hold on. You coming in the door or not?
Fool, she just told you, and your fellow officer told you, that she just said, "Can you please hold on?" You're dealing with a woman. There could be a variety of reasons why she wants you to hold on, because maybe she wasn't dressed in a decent manner, fool.
Alright, hurry up.
Don't go anywhere today, ladies and gentlemen. I have so much more to show you besides just this video. office. The one you saw. Oh, Hershey, you called us. So what'd you hear?
Somebody outside my house.
Is this your car over here? Is this your car over here? Oh. So you can clearly hear her saying, please God, several times. What it shows me is that these police officers did not take the time to assess how she was doing. Instead, Sean Grayson was too concerned about the fact that it took her a while to come to the door. How unprofessional. You're supposed to serve and protect the community. She called you because she thought she had a prowler outside of her home, and this is how you talk to her. You hear her say, please God, please God. They failed to assess her. If they would have took the time and slowed down from his rhetoric of trying to rush her, and just took the time to listen to her, he may have been able to figure out, which he did, that there was something mental going on with this woman. But he did, because it's caught on video. He said something, and I'm gonna let you all know what that.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right here. I'm gonna make a part 2 on this video concerning Miss Massey and with the police. Yeah, this is something that it's nothing new in America. In fact, I'm in one of this, here in Columbus, Ohio, we had about 4 incidents where people were unalive in their own home. One guy, they just 2 they still haven't really prosecuted yet. The one young man had a sandwich, but they mistaken it as a gun, and it was a sheriff deputy, by the way. And it was a case where it was not dealing with the house that was dealing with him. It was dealing with somebody else. But he just walked past. I think he probably had some earphones in his head, and he must have waved at the guy that got the sheriff. Just got spooked, and the man probably could hear him, and he shot and deleted the young man as he was going inside his own house. And his grandmother was at the house, and she was him right on the floor. Another young man, and this was on the western side of Columbus. An officer, a sheriff. This is a sheriff deputy. I believe it's a sheriff deputy or police. He had a canine unit. There's 2 cops that go in because of domestic violence. You can see this is on the body camera. The guy, when they went to open up the door, they knock. They go to the procedure. They open up the door, and the guy is, he's probably waking up. He's stark naked. And when it was holding back the dog, boom, he got deleted. This is in Columbus, Ohio. Another man was in his driveway. He had his hands up like this. And it was some kind of call. It was a female officer and a male officer. And I think it was the male officer that unloaded his clip on the man that was he was in his garage. There was nothing. He didn't reach. He didn't do anything. He did this, and he got deleted. And these people had no prior record. They have no. In fact, the one young man had a permit, but he had his weapon on him. This was so. In this case, and they just now sell the case with the young man that they held with the sandwich, but they want a civil suit, but it has to go into next year. The other incidents is still up in the air. This is in Columbus, Ohio. They have had within the last 7 years, and I kid you not, it was a situation where there was a young white male. It was a domestic violence. It was north of Columbus. A SWAT team come in. This guy had a gun. They tell him to come out, come out, come out, come out, come out. The guy lit up the building. Half the structure lit on fire. Not only he did that, the SWAT officer, the first SWAT officer, he put a bullet right there. Guess what? They took him out alive. This happened in Columbus, Ohio. And recently, they were on detail in another city. And even though that it was a situation in another city where it should have been directed to Milwaukee cops, but Columbus police doing detail for the president, it was a situation where it was a domestic and the guy was coming at a guy with a knife. Why didn't the officer wait till Milwaukee police deal with that? And that was not on the patrol. Plus, in Milwaukee, they said that situation was way further from where the convention was. And they kind of like brushed it off, blah, blah, blah. So now, even though that the man had family, the man had mental issues. So when it comes to a white mental patient who had a mental issue, they let him live. When it comes to a black mental patient, they delete him. But we claim that it's not nothing to do with race. But I just showed you, and this is just in this city, within the last 7 years, that the police have done this. You know, it is making a reputation, and they're still up in the air. The city is still think we'll have to sell some lawsuits, and the police officers they're not even in prison. I believe they're on bond. But this is the reason why people are getting tired, fed up with the police. And it does make good officers. There are some good officers on Columbus, the police department, but they cover up the bad ones. And I believe it's the union. Just like it's the union. Why they keep, it's the union. The union, the city scared the police union. They hold some kind of power. Their policies and stuff. And did you know that there's two separate unions in the department? Like in one in Cincinnati, there's a black officer union and there's a white officer union in Cincinnati, Ohio. But I used to live down there. Yeah. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video. But I'm gonna make part 2. I'm come back with part 2 of this video. But yeah, this is the reason why that's why some people, and it's sad because innocent police officer who might be doing it right, they'd be the very ones that someone try to take them out. Because some race, they let the ones like Grayson on. And they look past his past. It's the good old boy network. They know what it is. It all comes down to this. They know that. But they don't want to say that. And they make other officers who look like them, make them look bad. I guess they don't see it. But in the end, like the sister said, redemption's gonna be something. Alright then, I'll be back with part 2 of the next video and same content creator. Look for the next video. See you then. Take care.